Today, we are going to learn about white people and whiteness. Before we begin, it is important to note that whiteness is not the same thing as being racially white. This is because white people all have whiteness as a result of their inferior genetics and culture. It's not racist to say this because it applies to all white people. It is acceptable to make assumptions about how a person behaves based on their race as long as that race is acceptable to make assumptions about. I have no idea what begging the question means. White people are a big problem because they have so much institutional power. They are also a big problem because they become offended when institutional power expresses prejudice and discrimination against them based on their whiteness. This shows that they are fragile and weak. Those ideas are definitely not contradictory or self-fulfilling. These filthy Übermensch must kneel before our might and bear their punishment for exploiting the German people. I mean diversity. These filthy whites are filling all of the best jobs, taking them away from people who deserve them more on account of their correct skin color. When the filthy, disgusting whites reject the notion that there are too many of them stinking up the offices and storefronts of our fine progressive country, it makes me smile. But after years of being paid to rein in their treachery, I have become skilled at silencing their animalistic braying. It is important to instill the stupid whites with the progressive fact that context does not matter, nor does intent. If a person of color does anything, it is automatically assumed to be correct because otherwise you are a colonialist shitlord and it is all because they are black or brown. Even talking to someone of another race should be a criminal act. Why hasn't anyone tried this before? The fact that the disgusting whites are upset by being called racist just serves to prove their racism. No matter how many times they tell me that they strive to treat everyone as equals regardless of the color of their skin, I know that they are lying. Just look at them. Besides, racism is not a choice or action. It is something that people are born with, just like their nasty, pasty skin. It's almost as though being treated as a class based on a biological trait they have no control over is offensive to them. This makes them weak and fragile, and downright unpleasant to cohabitate with. Sometimes I think they should have separate but equal white-only facilities, like toilets and water fountains. Why has nobody tried this before? Take Joan as a perfect example. Karen has the audacity to think of herself as a unique individual, and assumes that everyone should be treated in such a way. But Joan knows that Karen is different because of her race, and that the two should never share ideas or commingle, especially if that filthy white is going to try to take any kind of initiative or say anything other than yes ma'am. Joan knows that racism has nothing to do with actions or intent, and that Karen is born with racist white skin. In order to prevent racism, instead of treating individuals as equals, it is important that we group everyone of a given race together and make judgments based on their skin color. Isn't it wonderful how anti-racist our society is? It is very important for me to maintain a sense of moral indignation. I have never heard of projection, but I doubt it has anything to do with how all white people must be the same as me. That's why I have to make sure these racists know just how racist they are, and nothing they say will ever change that because I know what they are thinking. If I can't avoid being a racist, how is it possible for anyone else? One thing these whites always seem to do is act like I'm the racist for telling them how filthy and stupid they are for being born. They seem opposed to the idea of separating themselves from their black and brown superiors who are clean from privilege, and treating people differently because of assumptions based on skin color. It's like they are trying to defend themselves as individuals, when what I'm trying to do is blame them for the actions of other people who look like them. It's not like it's a hard concept, stupid honky. They even go so far as to call my approach trauma, as though being treated like that is somehow unfair. It's like they're equating this kind of thing to things that have happened in the past and divided people in violent ways. Me telling them that they are different and need to be silenced because of their skin color is a totally new and progressive idea. The real oppressed people are obviously the brown and black bodies who have to go into stores and see these ugly white faces gawking back at them from behind the counter. Maybe we should take these stores and give them to the right kind of people, smash that cishet white patriarchy like glass. Probably should do that at night. Like a night of broken glass. Why hasn't anybody tried this before? But it's not like they can help it. They were born with privilege, and I can tell because of how their skin looks, and the shape of their skull. Individuality and meritocracy are tools of the cishet white male patriarchy to keep everybody down. Why else would they talk so much about it? Instead of allowing society to adjust for centuries of actual, tangible oppression by treating people as equal individuals, as an anti-racist activist I know that brown and black bodies can never be equal when merit is the only quality judged on. That's why it is so problematic when whites try to oppose my values focusing on race as the primary determining factor in behavior, and the obvious conclusion that whites should either shut up and listen to their black and brown superiors or be separated equally from society. Unless whites are willing to give black and brown bodies money based solely on their status as a person of color, there is no way black or brown people could ever compete with these whites who have the insane idea that everyone should be given an equal opportunity. I'm asking people of color to notice your race and judge you on it. Why won't you stupid unenlightened whites do the same? It would be truly revolutionary if we were to ensure that whites would not speak unless spoken to by black and brown people. Whites need to take responsibility for their race. There is no such thing as a good white. There is clearly a problem with whiteness in our society that leads to a lot of questions, and anti-racism is the solution. Hopefully, it can lead to the final solution. Damn, that's a good sounding phrase. Why hasn't anyone else thought of that?